Welcome back to Definitely Not Definitive. I'm Ken.
And I'm Bethany.
And we're just a fantastic couple in love that loves reacting to some Fallout.
Yes, we do.
And so this is Fallout Storyteller Season 1, Episode 11. This is Ulysses Divide. So we're getting into it. And if you want all of our Fallout reactions, check out the description of this video. We got playlists there for you. Every Thursday, we react to Fallout. We're continuing the series. You can get early access by checking out the link in the description of this video to our Patreon. All right? Are you ready?
But wait.
Oh. There's more.
Fallout. And that means...
I forgot.
It has a drink.
How could I forget?
Because we do it every Thursday, so it's officially a part of the channel.
Yep.
This is the Stim Pack Spritzer, but it needs a Stim Pack.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta do that. And then I think it's good to mix it up a little bit. And there we go. Now we're ready.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You've experienced the Fallout series in your own way, but want to learn more about its story. Well, to get to the heart of the story, you have to go back to the beginning. There were some mighty inhospitable places in this world even before the war. Deserts that could sear the life from a man as fast as any radioactive creature.
We live there.
Rivers so polluted they'd catch fire, and lawless lands ruled by brutal fanatics. It was a bad enough place that some people even looked forward to the apocalypse. A chance for humanity to start over and build a new society that was worthy of its people's loyalty. There are some folk who are proud to wear the flags of the new societies that have appeared in the aftermath. The Brotherhood, the Enclave, New California Republic, even some slaves in the Legion who are proud of the bull symbol embroidered on their clothes. But the flags of the old world are still out there for travelers who care to look. The red, white, and blue and the stars and stripes appear all over the Mojave. They're a code, a message for someone. Can't say who they're for, but the man who made the marks isn't shy about making his presence known. He traveled through the Mojave as a messenger of the Mojave Express out of Prim, concealing his role as one of Caesar's frumentari. He calls himself Ulysses. That's a name from the old Roman times, and one that belonged to a general who fought in one of America's most bitter wars. The Mojave's Ulysses named himself after this general, a hero who united two nations under a single flag. America's flag on his back is a symbol of that dedication. Ulysses is a man who respects symbols. He spent his life trying to find one that he could be proud to wear. It began with the tribe he was born into, the Twisted Hares. They wore their hair in braids to symbolize their life and achievements.
That makes sense now.
And Ulysses has honored that tradition throughout his life, even after the tribe was assimilated by Caesar's legion. He's a loyal man, too, and that is both a virtue and a curse in the wasteland. Despite seeing his tribe betrayed and enslaved by Caesar, Ulysses still remained loyal to the legion. Give that man a cause, and he'll fight under its flag. He carried the symbol of the bull with him throughout Nevada and was the first in the Legion to discover Hoover Dam, where he spotted the Rangers from the New California Republic. The Rangers had their own flag. Their totem was the two-headed bear of the NCR. These were men who shared his respect for symbols, and Ulysses knew that the bull and bear would battle to the death over that dam. He didn't fight in the battle for Hoover Dam himself. Caesar had sent him further west to cut the NCR supply lines. Interstate 15 used to be a highway where cars and trucks rolled at speeds faster than a Deathclaw and jet. 2 centuries after the war, it was known as the Long 15, and it saw its fair share of traffic with Brahmin carts bringing food and ammunition to NCR soldiers. The road served as a jugular vein for the bear's 2 heads. Shortly before the NCR clashed with the Legion at the dam, Ulysses was out by the Long 15 in a town called Hopeville. That's the sort of name they like to give places back before the war. Putting the word hope in the name didn't save the place when the Great War struck, though. Got hit pretty bad, and it took years before folks started settling back in. Seems there was a courier who frequented that route on trips between California and the Mojave. Funny that Ulysses and this other courier could walk the same road for years and never meet face to face. That other courier helped build up Hopeville, a neighboring town of Ashton. The place was looking mighty promising a few years ago, thanks to the work of that one courier. Ulysses saw the symbols of the old world in that restored community. He realized that the stars and stripes had the potential to be greater than the bear and bull combined. Hopeville and Ashton could have been a new home for him, free of the war between the Legion and NCR, a starting point for a nation that was worthy of his loyalty. But hidden away under those towns was a secret. No one knew that back before the war, they were actually used to hide missile silos. Those atomic warheads that sat nice and quiet for 200 years, like mythological beasts from a primeval past. Whatever old world talisman was supposed to wake them for the Great War never arrived. Well, it didn't arrive until a couple of years ago. Without warning, the missiles started launching and exploding right under the towns. It was the second time Armageddon, and it ripped the land open, tore the streets, filled the ground with invisible radioactive fire, and set up dust storms that could skin a man alive. Why did they suddenly detonate after all that time? The only person who made it out of there was Ulysses, and whatever he knew about it, he's kept to himself so far. Even though he escaped, there are still some souls living in the ruins of Hopeville. The NCR soldiers and Legion troops who were fighting over the place when the warheads blew are trapped there now. The radiation changed them, mutated them into something akin to the ghouls we have in the rest of the wasteland. The harsh sandstorms flayed them alive, but their mutation kept them going even when their skin scoured off.
God.
Their red, exposed flesh marks them as the unfortunates who survived a second apocalypse. Their rage unites them against anyone who enters their land. Their identities as NCR or Legion are gone. The only vestige of those former lives are the scraps of old uniforms they wear. Luckily, they grow weak when they stray from the radioactive soil of this place they call the Divide now. Few people have laid eyes on them, except for a couple of couriers and a foolhardy storyteller in rusty power armor. Ulysses managed to escape with his hide intact because of the automated medical technology in the Divide. The place was full of robots, including those little floating iBots that the Enclave used to have out east. There must have been pre-war machinery in the Divide that could duplicate the iBots and modify them to do the work of autodocs. After climbing out of the ruins of the Divide, Ulysses was still loyal to Caesar for a time. Before he took his final trip back to the Divide, he was sent by the Bull to the Great Salt Lake in Utah. There he manipulated the Whitelegs tribe into doing Caesar's will. He would inflict the same fate that had befallen his own tribe onto the Whitelegs, all to kill one man. Joshua Graham was one of the few men that Caesar feared had allied himself with another tribe in the area. So Ulysses taught the Whitelegs how to wage war with Roman brutality and 21st century weapons. The Whitelegs were unaware that their alliance with the Legion would eventually be their undoing, and they hailed Ulysses as a hero and honored him by mimicking his braided hair. They still wear it that way today, unaware that he considered it to be a mockery of his dead kinsmen, the Twisted Hairs. His days of meddling with the tribals of Utah might have been the breaking point of his loyalty to the Legion. Not long after that, he took to wandering the wasteland pursuing his own goals. He set about destroying the new America that seemed hell-bent on repeating the mistakes of the old. He knew that a weather station in a place called the Big Empty was connected to the sandstorms in the Divide, so he trekked into the deepest parts of the wasteland to find it. There he braved the roving bands of lobotomized slaves and attacked robots to restore the Divide, and maybe the spirit of America too. He left his marks while he was there, but he didn't leave many more after that. His travels must have taken him all over the Mojave and beyond, but all we know is that he was in the town of Primm recently. The logbooks at the Mojave Express office there show that he was hired to take something important to the New Vegas Strip, but he turned down the job. Some other courier took the package, whatever it was. After that, Ulysses disappeared back into the Divide. He left a series of messages behind him as he went, most of them addressed to another courier, Courier 6. Maybe that's the same courier who used to travel through the Divide years ago, or the courier who took that last job at the Mojave Express. Whoever it is, Ulysses was calling them to the Divide for some reason. Maybe someone answered that call already. A mushroom cloud went up over the sky near Hopeville a while ago. could have been Ulysses settling a score with that courier, although he'd have to have one hell of a grudge if it involved nuking that town for the third time. Ulysses has seen his tribe destroyed, his new home shattered, and loyalty spurned. He turned to the old world when the new one failed him. He's a man who could make any spot in the wasteland his home, but he chose to stay in the Divide because of what it symbolized for him. Lately, there's been a person out there in the ruins above Hopeville, keeping a lonely vigil over the broken land, has the lean body of a messenger, and wears the flag of the old world on their back. It might be that other courier wearing a duster like the one that Ulysses used to wear. Or it might be Ulysses himself. After years of living only for his hate, he might have made peace with himself and the courier. The wasteland has enough problems already, and lots of folk would find it comforting to think that Ulysses has come to the end of his journey, delivered his final message, and is content to stand guard over one place for a while. Ulysses was one of the greatest assets the Legion had, but even he was far from the deadliest. But that is a story for another day.
Yeah, I wanted to see, hopefully they're going to go over that one guy that Caesar feared or whatever. That's who I want to know more about.
Yeah, for sure. This sort of lone ranger out in the desert who, the whole Legion fears him. That makes him very formidable, and I want to know why. Yeah, exactly.
This was interesting. I think that, because we had gotten a bunch of, I guess Mr. House's New Vegas, we got, people and then, their, posse and, what they controlled and everything like that. But, Ulysses was more of, just a nomad and, believing in a cause, but without forcing it onto people, which I think was kind of unique, and just sort of spreading the word out there, in just cryptic little messages and everything, but not without trying to get his own army.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have a feeling there are going to be some similarities with whoever it is. I'm just going to call him the Lone Ranger for now. The Lone Ranger in the next episode, but I also feel like there's going to be a strong juxtaposition because Ulysses to me just feels lost.
Yeah.
He has this sort of cause, but also at the same time, there's nobody representing that. He's a follower who needs a leader and cannot find a leader worthy of his following.
Well said.
So he just strikes me as being so lost and having a very lonely existence, which can be better than blindly following somebody who's unworthy or following somebody who is unworthy and therefore despised, but you're following them anyway.
For survival.
Yeah. That's compromising your own integrity potentially. And I applaud him for not doing that. It just seems I kind of want to know more about him in a sense of, does he have unrealistic expectations? Is he so idealistic that no one's ever going to be worthy? Or is it just, this is Fallout and life generally sucks for everybody? And so he's kind of a romantic about the past and kind of what could have been that clearly isn't.
Well, I think even today people romanticize the past so much, and the good old days, as I always say. And I always liked watching The Office. Ed Helms' character, when he was talking about he would talk about his time at Cornell and the good old days at Cornell and everything like that. And then when it was time for the office to leave and to close down, he was reminiscing about all his time there. And, the good old days at that office. And he was saying something I'm gonna paraphrase it here, but it's just I wish I knew that I was living through the good old days, while they were happening, so you'd be able to truly appreciate. And that's what's great about, meditation. I know we've talked about it a lot, but it's about being in the present and living in the present right now and focusing on that versus the future and the past and all these other things that we worry about or we reminisce about. It's just about being really present here and enjoying this moment right now.
Yeah, as somebody who has myself romanticized the past because I love historical fiction, there is something about that concept of the grass is always greener. Oh man, if I was living during the revolutionary times, that was so exciting. What a great time to be alive. Yes. And now there's a ton of change happening around the world. It's an exciting time to be alive now. It's just paying attention to it now is stressful and anxious. But if you look back on the revolution, paying attention to it then when there was going to be open war in the country was stressful and anxious. So I think sometimes we like to take and focus on the good bits and then forget the rest of it. Like there wasn't dental care. Like the past isn't as romantic as we think when we see all these like historical fiction couples kissing and having these passionate adventures. It's like, yes, and they never brush their teeth. That is something I can always remind myself of to get back into reality.
Yeah, and so, I mean, like, and I get, if I lived in this Fallout universe, you know, I would want to romanticize the past and think about a time that when it wasn't like, you know, a nuclear holocaust and like, you know, wasteland and everything and, you know, towns of Hopeville blowing up 3 different times.
God, Hopeville, man. What a terrible place to be.
But then at the same time, like, I mean, you also don't get like any fulfillment, like with, like you said, that he was just kind of like wandering this whole time and like, was looking for was a follower looking for a leader that was worthy of, you know, for him to follow. In one sense, it's good, like, you know, not accepting the current reality and trying to make it wanting it to be a better place, but at the same time, it gave him a hopelessness as well. So yeah, you
said something really interesting there, which was not accepting the current situations and wanting to make it better. And I think, yes, absolutely. But I think those are two different things. There's not accepting the present that you live in. There's wanting to escape it. Like, which is, some people escape by romanticizing the past. You know, there's not wanting to participate in it. But then there's also like, no, I actively want it to be better. I'm participating in it. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and do the work for it. And I think he's waiting for someone to come along and either give him permission or give him the order to do that. So until then, he's just kind of like wandering in the desert doing graffiti, which I think, you know, I want to know more about this, like Courier 6. Who is Courier 6? What was the relationship like? I kind of want to know more about what that all means, because maybe there is a bigger purpose to it than he's just bored and that's a symbol that means something to him. But I think, yes, there's a great thing about wanting to make the world a better place. That's admirable. It's better to actually go out and do it. Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. Like, he saw these symbols and was just like, it inspired me. So hopefully if I put these symbols out there, it'll inspire somebody else, but they'll be able to take it to like the next phase and the next step. And like, they'll know what to do and how do we get here? Like, he doesn't know how to get there. Like, how do you, and so, yeah, he's a good soldier. He's not a good leader, but. And I think, you know, maybe with that, like doing these symbols, it inspired him. So wanting to inspire someone else, like maybe having the self-awareness, recognizing your own shortcomings and being like, I know I'm not a leader. I know I'm not going to do it. Fine, great. But like, that symbol means something to you for a reason. So share more than just the symbol, share the reason, share the story, share what inspires you, because that is likely what is going to inspire somebody else. Just seeing stars and stripes to some people in this world is probably going to be meaningless because they've lived through nuclear fallout. They might not have the best perception and grasp on what came before.
So I love the Fallout universe because it gives us lots to talk about. Let us know what you thought about this down below in the comments. And if you want all of our Fallout reactions, check out the description of this video. We got playlists there for you. We got a link to our Patreon, get early ad-free access to Fallout and our other reactions on this channel. Thanks so much for checking out our reaction for Fallout Season 1, Episode 11, Ulysses Divide. But just keep in mind
that our reaction is definitely not definitive.